Good morning, guys. It's Ryan with Janitor Leads. Hope all is well. Remember, our goal is to help small janitorial businesses take their business from whatever it's at today to $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, $20 million in revenue, so you guys have the opportunity to retire at a young age. If you like the videos, please make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, and always visit janitorleads.com for hot and fresh janitorial leads. Today, I'm going to talk about industrial cleaning. So what is industrial cleaning? So industrial cleaning are things like food manufacturing facilities, places like warehouses, where it's typically concrete floors. There's a lot of activity going on, a lot of people. You're going to find that the restrooms are really, really dirty, or the facility is going to be really dirty. There's two types of industrial cleaning that I usually would encounter. One would be the reoccurring services. And reoccurring services generally is going to be going in there and cleaning restrooms. That's generally what I find for industrial cleaning. And then also like portering work. So they're going to have us there for a number of hours. They might say, okay, I need a porter there for 8 hours a day. That's typically what I would find in reoccurring industrial cleaning. And then there's a one-time thing where the owner of a warehouse says, hey, I need this to be cleaned so it can be sold. Or can you come in and auto scrub my floors or clean my rafters? So let's talk about the reoccurring work really quickly. So when you're doing bidding for reoccurring industrial cleaning, just know it's going to take more time because it's going to be dirtier. You're going to have more people that you need to work around. So like it's going to be harder to close off a bathroom. You're going to be working around equipment. There's also dirtier means more time, right? So when it's more time is more money. So just make sure that you know when you're going in there to bid appropriately for the time. Also add additional dollars for the additional chemicals and equipment you're going to need. So you're going to need lots of degreasers, probably more scouring pads. Your mops are not going to last as long. So definitely factor in the additional chemicals and equipment for their reoccurring work. And then also be aware that if it's reoccurring work, it's hard work. And for example, we've done places like a place where they packaged eggs, and it was just really gross and stinky in there. So we had a hard time keeping employees happy because they didn't want to go work in a gross, stinky environment. I mean, we all know that we're cleaning, but that doesn't mean I want to smell like pig manure, you know? So just also factor it's harder to keep your labor. Now, if you can find the right facility, if it's close to you, if you go in and you have a good relationship with the customer and you can set expectations and you can bid appropriately for chemicals, equipment, and time, industrial cleaning is great, just like any other cleaning. Now let's talk about like one-time cleaning. So let's assume that, like a customer is going to come in and say, hey, I'm selling my warehouse. I need you to come in and do a deep cleaning floor to ceiling. So that includes like the rafters, which are going to be most likely wood, and they're going to have metal deck work. It's going to include the walls, which may be painted walls, it may be concrete walls, and maybe even that plastic type of wall that you would find in like bathrooms and stuff like that. And then there's a floor. So let's assume in this case it's going to be concrete floors that's had forklifts driven on them, probably some grease that's spilled, those types of things. So if someone were to ask me to bid, a one-time job for that, I'm going to say, okay, great. I'd love to do this. We've done, this type of work before, but for us to be able to bid this properly, I need to come in and do some tests. And I'm going to expect you, the customer, to pay for the test. Now, if you're happy with the test and you choose to move forward with our work, then I'm happy to deduct the cost of that test from the overall cost of the cleaning. But I need to make sure that what we're delivering is going to meet your expectations, because some people want a rough cleaning and some may want it like sparkling clean, and we need to make sure that we're able to get the facility to the cleanliness that the customer is expecting. So let's start with testing the rafters. So if I was going to go and test the rafters, I'm going to either rent a fork or a scissor lift, depending on how high the rafters are. and I'm going to bring in shop vacs. I'm going to bring in microfiber cloths. I'm going to bring in buckets of chemicals, degreasers. I'm going to bring in extendable poles and brushes, and I'm going to clean an area. And as part of that process, I'm going to take before and after pictures. And after I've cleaned the area, I'm going to show the customer, say, hey, this is the results, this is how we did it. We actually used a vacuum, rags, whatever we happen to use that got it to the point of cleanliness that we're expecting. And I'm going to show the customer and say, hey, is this a result that you're looking for? So I'm going to get them to sign off on that result before I give them a bid. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing for the walls. So I'm going to rent a scissor or forklift. I'm going to bring in deck brushes, degreasers, rags, poles, vacuums, spider web removers, all those types of things, depending on what type of walls I'm going to be cleaning. And I'm going to find the best result. Again, take before and after pictures. Again, show the customer, hey, is this the result you're looking for? And then lastly, I'm going to work my way to the floors. This is the exact same way I would clean, by the way, in a real environment, starting with the ceiling, then the walls, and the floors. So the floors, am I going to just need a side-by-side and a wet-dry vac? Am I going to need an auto scrubber? Am I going to need a ride-on scrubber? So depending on, the types of floors and how dirty they are, a lot of times there's these tire marks and grease marks that are on the floor, and just a ride-on or a walk-behind auto scrubber is not going to get it. You're going to have to go in with a side-by-side and really, really scrub the area. So again, I would find the dirtiest area, clean it, know exactly what it's going to take to clean it, know exactly what equipment it's going to take, and then show the customer, make sure that they sign off. So, I might have like $2,000 in equipment rentals and labor before I even can give the customer a bid. Again, the customer, if they move forward, if it's the right partner, they're going to get that cost deducted over, off the overall cost. But, I'm not going to come in and do a test for free. So once we've agreed upon the results and the procedures, I'm going to find out when this cleaning can be done. So if we need to work around the existing operations, it's going to take us a lot longer to clean. So for example, if I had to bring in a lift and I can only work from 8 p.m. till 12 a.m. every night, that's only going to give me 4 hours. I know I'm going to have to rent the lift a lot longer than if they said, oh yeah, the facility's closed, you can just clean anytime during the day and anytime during the night. So that's the question I'm going to ask, is when can I clean? The other question I'm going to ask is, can I store my equipment on site? Do I have to bring the lift every day, or are they going to allow me to store it there? So once I know those questions, then I'm going to contact the lift rental company and say, okay, how much does it cost to rent the lift for X number of days? A lot of times they'll give you discounts for weeks. Make sure you include the cost of pickup and the cost of delivery when you're bidding it. So get that full cost from the lift rental company. And remember, you're probably going to be using that lift not only for the ceilings, but for the walls. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm figuring out my man-hour costs, right? So what are my man-hour costs given the constraints of the environment? What is going to be my equipment costs given when I can clean and how long I'm able to rent it for? So I got my man-hour cost. I got my man hours. I've got my equipment rental cost. And then I got my delivery fees. So basically I'm going to take all of those costs up. I'm going to put on an appropriate margin. Generally I think if you're doing one-time cleanings, it's not unreasonable to get a 30 to 50% margin. So, assuming a 50% margin, if I charge $1,000, I'd like to get $500 in profit. So my cost would be $1,500. So I come up with all those costs, and then I give the customer the total, and I'm going to subtract from the total, the costs for my trial. So, so they can see, okay, here's the total minus the cost of the trial. Here's the remaining total. I find that, this is really the only process of going through the testing, getting the customer buy off, that's going to create a positive result. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself getting into a cleaning that you don't know what you're going to get into. You might clean all the rafters. The customer's going to come in and be like, oh my gosh, it's not what I wanted. I'm not going to pay you. So it's really, really important to get buy-on number one, initially, that it's going to give the right procedures and equipment. And then number two, along each step of the way, make sure every single day that you're getting buy-off from the customer on the results. And I would get that signed off, like physically signed off, that yes, I'm happy so far. I'm happy with what you did with the rafters. I'm happy with the walls, because you do not want to come in and do all this work and then have to keep going back and back because the customer's not happy. So industrial cleaning, whether it be reoccurring or one time, can be great, but just like anything else, make sure you're paying attention to the bidding process so you get money. Again, if you have any questions, make sure you put those questions below in the YouTube comments, and then definitely visit janitorleads.com. And so you can see these industrial leads that we're selling for $7.95, or any other leads that happens to be in your area. Talk to you soon.